I never thought silence could become so loud. But at 64, in a house that once rang with daughter's laughter and a husband's footsteps, I learned that emptiness has its own deafening voice. 7 winters had passed since Richard's funeral. 7 winters of rearranging the same throw pillows, brewing tea that grew cold on the counter, standing in front of the refrigerator without remembering what I'd come for. The grief had softened. Yes, no longer that sharp blade through the chest. But what replaced it was worse. A slow, creeping numbness that made me wonder if I was already becoming a ghost in my own life. My daughters called every Sunday. "Mom, you should join that book club." "Mom, have you thought about volunteering?" Their voices were kind but distant, wrapped in the busy static of their own full lives. Husbands, children, careers spinning in cities hundreds of miles away. I always said yes, I'd think about it. Then I'd hang up and return to the same worn spot on the couch, watching the afternoon light move across the living room floor like a slow-motion goodbye. I had stopped looking in mirrors mostly. Not out of vanity lost, but because I no longer recognized the woman staring back. When did my hands become my mother's hands? When did this soft belly replace the one that had carried 2 babies? When did I become invisible to the world? Just another elderly woman pushing a cart through the grocery store. Someone people's eyes slide past without truly seeing. That Tuesday in late July, the air conditioner began making a grinding sound that seemed to mock my own internal machinery. Something vital breaking down, giving up. I called the repair company. They said someone would come between 2 and 4. I cleaned the house as if the Queen of England were visiting, vacuumed the carpets, wiped down counters that weren't dirty, changed into a nicer blouse, then felt foolish, and changed back. It was just a repairman. Why did I care? At 2:47, the doorbell rang. I opened the door and felt my breath catch in a way I hadn't experienced in decades. He stood there, tall, perhaps 6'3", with shoulders that filled the doorframe. His skin was the color of polished mahogany, gleaming with a thin sheen of summer heat. He wore navy work pants and a company polo that stretched across a chest I could only describe as magnificent. When he smiled, showing perfect white teeth against that beautiful dark skin, something inside me, something I thought had died with Richard, flickered to life. "Mrs. Patterson, I'm Marcus. Hear about your AC unit." His voice was deep, resonant, and the kind of voice that makes you want to hear it say your name again. "Yes, please, come in." My own voice sounded strange to me, higher, almost girlish. I led him to the living room, hyper-aware of my body in a way I hadn't been in years. Was my hair acceptable? Did I smell like old lady lavender? "Stop it," I scolded myself. "He's here to fix your air conditioner, not notice you." But as he knelt to examine the unit, his shirt riding up slightly to reveal a strip of lower back, I couldn't stop noticing him. The way his muscles moved beneath his skin, the careful precision of his hands, the small furrow of concentration between his eyebrows. I retreated to the kitchen, my heart beating faster than it had any right to, and gripped the counter with both hands. What was wrong with me? He was young enough to be my son, maybe even my grandson. I was a 64-year-old widow whose body had long since made peace with irrelevance. This flutter in my chest, this heat spreading through my belly. It was ridiculous, inappropriate, shameful, and yet... I filled a glass with ice water, my hands trembling slightly, and admitted the truth I'd been avoiding for 7 years. I was lonely, not just for company or conversation, but for something deeper, more primal. To be looked at, to be wanted, to feel, just once more like a woman instead of a relic. From the living room, I heard him moving around, the clink of tools, a low hum as he worked. And standing there in my quiet kitchen, I made a decision that would change everything. I would offer him water. Such a small thing, such an ordinary gesture. I had no idea it would be the match that lit a fire I thought had turned to ash long ago. "Would you like some water?" I stood in the doorway between the kitchen and living room, holding the glass like a shield. Marcus looked up from where he was kneeling, wiping his hands on a rag pulled from his back pocket. "That would be great, thank you." He stood, and I was reminded again of his height, the way he seemed to fill the space around him with a kind of quiet strength. I handed him the glass, careful not to let our fingers touch, but he reached out and took it in a way that made contact inevitable. His hand was warm, calloused, real. I pulled mine back too quickly, sloshing water onto my wrist. "Sorry," I muttered, feeling heat rush to my face. "No problem." He drained half the glass in one long swallow, and I found myself watching his throat work, the movement of it somehow intimate. "Hot out there today? Your unit's fixed, by the way. Just needed a new filter and some cleaning. Should be good now." "Oh, good. That's good." He smiled at my awkwardness, but it wasn't mocking. It was kind. "Mind if I finish this?" He gestured to the water. "Of course not. Actually," I heard myself say, as if from a distance, "would you like to sit down for a moment? You look like you could use a break from the heat." What was I doing? "If you're sure you don't mind." I don't mind. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where Richard and I had shared thousands of meals, where I'd helped my daughters with homework, where I now ate alone most nights. Marcus seemed too large for the delicate wooden chair, but he settled into it with surprising grace. "Been doing this long?" I asked, then immediately felt stupid. Small talk, as if we were strangers at a cocktail party instead of a lonely widow and a young repairman in her empty house. "About 8 years now." He leaned back, more relaxed than I'd expected. "Started right out of high school. Needed to support my kids." "You have children?" "2 boys, 7 and 9. His face softened when he mentioned them, a tenderness that made my chest ache. "Their mama left when the youngest was 2, so it's just us 3. That must be hard." "It is, but they're good kids. Worth it." He paused, studying me with eyes that seemed to see more than I wanted to reveal. "You have family?" 2 daughters, both married, both far away, Philadelphia and Seattle. I traced the rim of my glass. "My husband passed 7 years ago." "I'm sorry." "Thank you." The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. We sat there, 2 people who understood what it meant to be alone, even when you weren't supposed to be. The afternoon light slanted through my kitchen window, catching dust motes in the air, making everything feel suspended, dreamlike. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus's voice was gentle. "Yes." "When was the last time someone asked how you were doing, and actually waited for a real answer?" The question hit me like a punch to the stomach. My eyes stung with sudden tears I absolutely could not shed in front of this stranger. I looked away, blinking hard. "I'm sorry," he said quickly. "That was too personal. You seem sad, and I know that kind of sad. The kind that comes from being invisible." I turned back to him and found his eyes holding mine with such genuine concern that something inside me cracked open. "I am invisible," I whispered. "I wake up, and I go through the day, and I might as well be furniture for all the difference I make. I see you." 3 words, Just 3 words, spoken in that deep, warm voice, but they undid me completely. I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor. "I should let you get back to work. I'm sure you have other appointments. Mrs. Patterson." "Sarah. My name is Sarah. Sarah." The way he said it made it sound like something precious. He stood too, coming around the table. "I didn't mean to upset you." "You didn't. I'm just..." I wrapped my arms around myself, suddenly cold, despite the summer heat. "I'm just not used to being seen anymore." He moved closer, not touching, but close enough that I could smell him. Clean sweat, some kind of citrus soap. And underneath it all, the scent of a man, which I had forgotten, could affect me this way. My body remembered before my mind caught up. Heat pooled low in my belly. My skin prickled with awareness. "Can I tell you something?" His voice was lower now, almost a murmur. "When I walked in here today, first thing I noticed was how beautiful you are." I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "I'm 64 years old." "I know." He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away, and tucked a strand of gray hair behind my ear. His fingertips grazed my cheek. "Beautiful doesn't have an expiration date, Sarah." My breath stopped. His hand lingered near my face, not quite touching, but close enough to feel the heat radiating from his skin. We stood frozen like that in my sun-filled kitchen, while something enormous and terrifying built between us. I should step back. I should thank him and show him to the door. I should remember that I'm old enough to be his mother, that this is wildly inappropriate, that whatever is happening needs to stop right now. Instead, I leaned into his touch, just barely, just enough that his palm cupped my cheek fully. His thumb stroked across my cheekbone, once, twice. "Tell me to leave," he whispered. I opened my mouth to do exactly that, but the word that came out was, "Stay." Time stopped. Or maybe it sped up. I couldn't tell anymore. All I knew was that Marcus's hand was on my face, and I had just asked him to stay, and now we were standing in my kitchen like 2 people on the edge of a cliff, deciding whether to jump. "Sarah." My name again wrapped in that velvet voice. "Are you sure?" Was I sure? I wasn't sure of anything. Not of what I was doing, not of what I wanted, not of whether my heart could survive whatever came next. But I was sure of one thing. I was tired of being invisible, tired of being sensible, tired of living like I was already dead. "No," I admitted, my voice barely a whisper. "I'm not sure of anything, but I don't want you to leave." He studied my face for what felt like an eternity. Then, slowly, so slowly I could have stopped him at any moment, he leaned down and pressed his lips to mine. I had forgotten what a kiss could be. With Richard toward the end, kisses had become reflexive pecks. Morning goodbye, evening hello, obligations fulfilled. But this was different. Marcus kissed me like I was water, and he'd been walking through a desert. His lips were soft but insistent, asking questions my body answered before my mind could interfere. My hands found his chest, felt the solid warmth of him through the thin polo shirt. His heart was racing, as fast as mine. Somehow that made it real. He wasn't doing this out of pity. He wanted this too. When we finally broke apart, I was breathing hard, my legs unsteady. He kept his hands on my waist, steadying me. "We should sit down," he murmured. "The living room," I managed to say. He led me there. Or maybe I led him, I wasn't sure anymore. Everything felt dreamlike, surreal. This wasn't happening to Sarah Patterson, retired librarian, grandmother of 4, widow who wore sensible shoes and went to bed at 9:30. this was happening to someone else. But it was my body that sank onto the sofa. My skin that erupted in goosebumps when Marcus sat beside me. So close our thighs touched. My pulse that thundered in my ears when he reached for me again. "Tell me what you want," he said softly, his fingers tracing the line of my jaw, down my neck, along my collarbone. Each touch left fire in its wake. What did I want? I wanted to be young again. I wanted this body to be firm and smooth, not soft and creased with time. I wanted not to feel ashamed. I want to feel alive, I heard myself say, just once more. I want to feel like a woman instead of a memory. His eyes darkened with something that made my stomach flip. "You are a woman, Sarah. Every inch of you." When he kissed me again, it was deeper, hungrier. His hands moved with purpose now, one cupping the back of my head, fingers threading through my gray hair, the other sliding down my back, pulling me closer. I made a sound I didn't recognize, somewhere between a gasp and a moan. "Is this okay?" he asked against my lips. Yes, God, yes. We shifted on the sofa, and suddenly I was half lying beneath him, his weight pressing me into the cushions. The same cushions I'd rearranged obsessively this morning. The irony wasn't lost on me. His mouth found my neck, that sensitive spot just below my ear, and I arched into him without thinking. His hand slid under my blouse, palm flat against my stomach. I froze. "Wait!" I gasped. He stopped immediately, pulling back to look at me. "Too fast?" "No, I mean yes, but..." I couldn't meet his eyes. "My body isn't... I'm not young anymore. I have scars, stretch marks, everything sags. I don't want you to be disappointed when..." He pressed a finger gently to my lips. "Sarah, look at me." I forced myself to meet his gaze. "I'm not a boy," he said quietly. "I'm not expecting some airbrushed fantasy. I'm looking at a real woman, a beautiful real woman who has lived a whole life, who has borne children, who has survived loss. Your body tells the story of who you are. Why would I be disappointed by that?" Tears spilled over before I could stop them. "I'm scared. Of what? Of wanting this, of feeling this, of what it means that I'm lying on my couch with a man half my age, and all I can think about is how much I want him to keep touching me." A slow smile spread across his face, not mocking, but tender. "Then let me keep touching you." "Marcus, no expectations, Sarah, no promises. Just this moment, just us. Just feeling alive." His hand moved again, this time higher, skimming the side of my breast through my bra. "Is that okay?" My whole body was trembling now, a live wire of sensation and need. It had been so long, so impossibly long since I'd felt desired, since I'd felt this electricity in my veins. "Yes," I breathed. "Yes." He kissed me again. And this time I stopped thinking, stopped worrying about my age, my body, what anyone would think. His hands explored, reverent and sure. My own hands found the hem of his shirt, slipped beneath it to touch skin that was warm and smooth and alive. We didn't go further, not yet, but we lay there on my sofa as the afternoon light faded to gold, learning each other's rhythms, mapping territories long forgotten. And for the first time in 7 years, I felt the future stretch ahead of me, uncertain and terrifying and beautiful. When Marcus finally left, promising to check on the AC unit again next week, just to make sure it's running right, we both knew he wasn't talking about the air conditioner. I stood at the door after he'd gone, my lips swollen, my body humming, my mind reeling. What had I done? What was I doing? And why did I already ache for him to come back? The week that followed was the longest and shortest of my life. I moved through my days like a sleepwalker, going through the motions while my mind lived in an endless loop of Tuesday afternoon. The weight of him, the heat of his mouth, the way his hands had made my body remember it was still capable of hunger. I woke up Wednesday morning convinced it had been a dream. But my lips were tender when I touched them, and there was a text message on my phone. Thinking about you. Hope that's okay. Marcus. I stared at those words for 20 minutes before responding. It's okay. What else could I say? That I'd barely slept? That I'd stood in the shower and touched myself for the first time in years, imagining his hands instead of mine? That I felt like a teenager and a fool all at once? Thursday. My daughter Katie called. Mom, you sound different. What's going on? Nothing. I lied, my heart hammering. Just tired. You sure? You sound almost giddy. Giddy at 64. Over a man young enough that we couldn't possibly have a future. Who probably kissed lonely widows in every house he visited. That thought stopped me cold. What if I was just another service call to him? Another bored, desperate woman, grateful for any attention. The shame of it made me want to crawl out of my skin. I typed out a message. We should talk about Tuesday. Maybe it was a mistake, but I didn't send it. Friday afternoon, my doorbell rang. My heart leapt, even though I knew it couldn't be him. He'd said next week. I opened it to find a delivery. A small potted orchid with a card that read, "Not a mistake. See you Tuesday." I held that card against my chest and cried. Ugly, messy tears that had nothing to do with sadness and everything to do with being seen. By Saturday, I was a wreck. I tried to distract myself with gardening, but found myself daydreaming while pulling weeds. Tried to read, but couldn't focus. Tried to watch television, but every love scene made me flush, hot, and restless. I looked at myself in the mirror. Really looked, for the first time in years. Gray hair that I'd been meaning to color, lines around my eyes and mouth, the loose skin on my arms, the soft pouch of my belly. How could he possibly want this? But he'd said I was beautiful, and he'd touched me like I was precious. Sunday morning, I went to church for the first time in months. Sat in the back pew and tried to pray for guidance, but all I could think was, is this wrong? Am I wrong for wanting him? The pastor's sermon was about grace and second chances. I took it as a sign, even though I knew I was probably reaching. Monday. He texted again. Tomorrow still good? 2 p.m.? I typed yes, then deleted it and wrote, we should just talk. Then deleted that and went back to, yes. I didn't sleep Monday night. Lay in my bed, the bed I'd shared with Richard for 38 years, and wrestled with ghosts and guilt in this wild, unexpected wanting that had taken up residence in my chest. Would Richard be angry? Hurt? Or would he understand that 7 years is a long time to be alone? That loneliness is its own kind of death? That maybe this wasn't about betraying his memory, but about honoring my own life? I didn't have answers. Tuesday morning, I changed outfits 4 times. Finally settled on a simple blue dress that didn't try too hard. Put on lipstick, then wiped it off. Put it on again. At 1:55, I was pacing. At 1:58, I checked my hair one last time. At 2, or exactly, the doorbell rang. Marcus stood on my porch holding his toolbox, professional and appropriate, but his eyes gave him away. They traveled over me with unmistakable warmth. Hi, he said. Hi. We stood there like awkward teenagers until I stepped back to let him in. He set the toolbox down just inside the door and turned to face me. I need to say something before we go any further. My stomach dropped. Here it comes. The letdown. The explanation that Tuesday was just a moment of weakness. That he's involved with someone his own age. That he's flattered, but... I haven't been able to stop thinking about you, he said quietly. Every day this week, you've been the first thing on my mind when I wake up, and the last thought before I sleep. I know this is complicated. I know people would judge. I know all the reasons this doesn't make sense. But Sarah... He stepped closer, his hand reaching for mine. I want to get to know you. Really know you. Not just... Whatever happened on that couch, I want to take you to dinner. I want to hear about your life. I want to understand what makes you laugh, and what makes you sad, and what you dream about when you let yourself dream. I couldn't speak, could barely breathe. And if all you want is what we started Tuesday, I'll give you that too. No judgment. But I need you to know, you're not just some lonely woman to me. You're not just a fantasy or a conquest or a distraction. His thumb stroked across my knuckles. You're Sarah, and I want to know everything about who that is. Why? The word came out broken. Why me? You could have anyone. Someone young, someone without all this baggage, someone who doesn't have grandchildren and arthritis and... Because when I look at you, I see someone who's lived, who's loved and lost and survived. I see wisdom and grace and a kind of beauty that doesn't come from being 25. He lifted my hand to his lips, pressed a kiss to my palm. I see someone worth knowing, worth cherishing, worth the risk. What risk? Of falling for you. His eyes held mine. Which, if I'm honest, I think I already am. My knees went weak. I gripped his arm to steady myself. This is crazy, I whispered. Probably. People will talk. Let them. I don't know how to do this. I don't know the rules anymore. I don't know. He pulled me close, resting his forehead against mine. Neither do I. So maybe we make our own rules. Marcus. Tell me what you want, Sarah. Really want. I closed my eyes, feeling his warmth, his solidity, his realness, and I admitted the truth. I want all of it. The dinner, the conversation, the getting to know each other. I opened my eyes and met his gaze. And I want to finish what we started on Tuesday. His smile was slow and devastating. Then let's start with dinner. Now? Right now. Let me take you somewhere nice. Let me sit across from you and learn about Sarah Patterson. We have all the time in the world for the rest. All the time in the world. Such a simple phrase. Such an impossible promise. But standing there in his arms, I let myself believe it. For 3 weeks, we existed in a bubble. Marcus took me to a small Italian restaurant 40 minutes away. Far enough that we wouldn't run into anyone I knew. We talked for hours. I learned about his boys, how he read to them every night, how he was saving for their college funds. He learned about my daughters, my years at the library, the garden I had stopped tending after Richard died. He kissed me goodnight at my door like a gentleman, then came back 2 days later and kissed me like something else entirely. We were careful, discreet. He came during his lunch breaks, during afternoon appointments. We'd talk, we'd laugh, we'd touch. Sometimes more than touch. My body was remembering how to feel, awakening nerve by nerve, and it was terrifying and glorious all at once. I was happy, genuinely, impossibly happy. And then Katie showed up unannounced. It was a Thursday afternoon. Marcus and I were in the living room, fully clothed but tangled together on the sofa, his mouth doing extraordinary things to my neck. I was laughing, actually laughing, when I heard a key turn in the lock. "Mom," I'm here, surprise visit. We sprang apart like guilty teenagers. Marcus grabbed his toolbox while I frantically smoothed my hair, my dress, tried to wipe the flush from my face. Katie walked in just as Marcus was heading for the door. Oh. She stopped, her eyes moving between us with barely concealed suspicion. I didn't know you had company. This is Marcus, I said, my voice too high, too bright. He's been fixing the air conditioner. For 3 weeks. Katie's tone was pleasant, but her eyes were sharp. It's been temperamental, Marcus said smoothly, offering his hand. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Katie, the daughter. She shook his hand briefly, her gaze cataloging everything. His youth, his build, the way he looked at me. I live in Philadelphia, but decided to surprise Mom with a visit. That's nice. Family time is important. He turned to me, and there was warmth in his eyes that I prayed Katie couldn't read. I'll check back next week, Mrs. Patterson. Make sure everything's running smoothly. After he left, silence filled my living room like smoke. So, Katie finally said, setting her purse down with deliberate care. How long has that been going on? Nothing's going on. He's just... Mom, please. I saw how he looked at you. I saw your face. She sat down heavily. Tell me you're not sleeping with the repair guy. The judgment in her voice, that casual dismissal, as if what Marcus and I shared was sordid and shameful, ignited something in me. And if I was, would that be so terrible? He's a child. He can't be more than 30. 32. And I'm 64. I'm aware of the math, Katie. Are you? She leaned forward, her face earnest with concern that felt more like condescension. Mom, think about this. Really think. What does a man that age want with a woman your age? It's either money or some kind of weird fetish or maybe he just likes me. My voice was quiet, dangerous. Maybe he finds me interesting, attractive, worth spending time with. Mom, do you have any idea what it's like? The words burst out of me before I could stop them. To be invisible? To wake up every day in an empty house and wonder if this is all there is left? To feel like you're just waiting to die? Katie flinched. That's not fair, isn't it? You call once a week out of obligation. You and your sister have your own lives, your own families. I'm happy for you. I am. But don't act like you understand what my life has been like for 7 years. So you're having some kind of crisis and letting some guy take advantage of you. He's not taking advantage of me! I was shouting now, something I never did. He makes me feel alive, Katie. He sees me, actually sees me. Not as Mom or Grandma or that poor widow, but as Sarah. As a woman who still has feelings and desires and... Oh, God. Katie covered her face with her hands. I don't want to hear about your desires. Then why did you come here? To check on poor, pathetic Mom? To make sure I'm not embarrassing the family? When she looked up, there were tears in her eyes. To make sure you're okay. To make sure someone isn't hurting you. The anger drained out of me. I sat down beside her, suddenly exhausted. He's not hurting me, sweetheart. He's been kind, and patient, and genuine. But what future does this have? What happens when he gets tired of playing around with an older woman? Or when he meets someone his own age? Those were exactly the questions that kept me up at night. The fears I pushed down every time Marcus touched me. Hearing them spoken aloud made them real, unavoidable. I don't know, I admitted quietly. Maybe it won't last. Maybe I'll get hurt. But Katie... I took her hand. I spent 38 years with your father. I was a good wife, a good mother. I did everything right. And then he died and left me here. And I've been so lonely, I could scream. Is it really so wrong to want this? Even if it's temporary? What if people find out? What will they say? Let them say whatever they want. I'm tired of living my life worried about what other people think. Katie was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was small. I just don't want to see you get hurt. I know, but sometimes hurt is the price of feeling anything at all. She stayed for dinner. We talked about safer things. Her kids, her job, the new house they were considering. But the ease between us was gone, replaced by a careful politeness that broke my heart. That night, after she'd gone to bed in her old room, my phone buzzed. How did it go? Marcus had texted. She knows. She's not happy. Do you want me to stay away? I stared at that message for a long time. This was my out. I could end it now, go back to being safe and lonely and appropriate. No one would judge me. Katie would be relieved. Life would return to normal. But normal meant empty. No. I typed. I don't want you to stay away. But we need to talk. Tomorrow? Tomorrow. I set the phone down and looked at myself in the dark window's reflection. A 64-year-old woman caught between her daughter's disapproval and her own desperate need to feel alive. For the first time since Marcus walked through my door, I wondered if Katie was right. What was I doing? And more importantly, when this inevitably ended, would the brief joy be worth the devastating aftermath? I didn't have answers. Only the certainty that tomorrow, when Marcus asked what I'd decided, I would have to choose between safety and happiness. And I genuinely didn't know which one I'd pick. Katie left Friday morning with a kiss on my cheek and worry in her eyes. The house felt even emptier after she was gone, filled with the ghost of her judgment and my own growing doubts. Marcus came at noon. I'd barely slept, had spent the night staring at the ceiling, playing out every terrible scenario. He meets someone younger. He realizes I'm too old. His family finds out and he's humiliated. My daughters stop speaking to me. I become the pathetic old woman who thought a young man could actually want her. When I opened the door, he took one look at my face and said, "Tell me." We sat at the kitchen table, that table that had witnessed so much of my life, and I tried to find words for the tangle of fear and shame choking me. "Katie thinks you're using me," I said finally. "For money or, I don't know, some kind of game." His jaw tightened, but his voice stayed calm. "What do you think?" "I don't know what to think anymore." I twisted my hands together. "Marcus, be honest with me. Really honest. What is this to you? A novelty? A challenge? Something to tell your friends about? How you bedded the old widow? Is that really what you think of me?" "I don't know." The words came out sharper than I intended. "We've known each other less than a month. You're 32 years old. You could have any woman you want. Women with smooth skin and firm bodies and futures that match yours. So why me? Really, why me?" He stood up, paced to the window, his back rigid. When he turned around, there was hurt in his eyes that cut me deeper than Katie's words had. "You want honesty? Fine." His voice was rough. "Yes, I'm attracted to you physically. You're beautiful, Sarah, whether you believe it or not. But you know what really drew me to you? The way you apologized for being awkward. The sadness in your eyes when you talked about being invisible. The fact that you made me tea and actually listened when I talked about my boys." He moved closer but didn't touch me. "I've dated plenty of women my age. You know what most of them see when they look at me? A paycheck. a body, a stepping stone to something better. But you, his voice cracked slightly. You see me, actually see me, not what I can give you or do for you. Just me. Marcus, I'm not finished. He ran a hand over his face. Yes, people will judge. Yes, this age difference is significant. Yes, maybe this doesn't work out long term. But Sarah, I wake up every morning excited to talk to you. I think about making you laugh. I wonder what you're doing, if you're happy, if you're thinking about me too. That's not a game. That's not a fetish. That's me falling for someone who makes me feel like I matter. Tears spilled down my cheeks. But what happens when you wake up one day and realize I'm old enough to be your mother? When my body ages faster than yours? When what? When you need help someday? When things get hard? He finally closed the distance between us, cupping my face in his hands. Sarah. My mama raised me alone after my daddy left. She worked 2 jobs to keep us fed. She got sick when I was 19. Breast cancer. And I took care of her until she died. I know what commitment looks like. I know what it means to love someone through the hard stuff. I can't ask you to... You're not asking. I'm offering. His thumbs wiped away my tears. But I need to know. Is this really about what Katie said? Or is it about you being scared? I closed my eyes, unable to face the truth in his gaze. Both. That's fair. This is scary. It's scary for me too. He pressed his forehead against mine. But Sarah, if you're going to end this, end it because you don't want me. Not because you're afraid of what other people think. Not because you think you don't deserve this. End it because when you look at me, you feel nothing. I opened my eyes. Looked at this beautiful man who somehow saw beauty in me. I can't. Can't what? Can't end it. Can't say I feel nothing. My voice broke. I'm terrified, Marcus. Terrified of wanting you. Terrified of being hurt. Terrified that this is real and terrified that it's not. So be terrified with me. He kissed me softly. We'll figure it out together. What if Katie's right? What if this falls apart? Then it falls apart, and we'll both survive it, because we're both survivors. He pulled back to look at me. But what if she's wrong? What if this is exactly what we both need? Are you really willing to walk away from that possibility? I thought about the past 3 weeks. The laughter. The conversations that stretched for hours. The way my body came alive under his touch. The mornings when I woke up smiling, looking forward to the day instead of dreading it. I thought about going back to the empty house, the cold tea, the endless silence, and I made my choice. No, I whispered, I'm not willing to walk away. His smile was radiant. Yeah? Yeah. I pulled him closer. But Marcus, I need you to understand. I'm going to be difficult. I'm going to have moments where I doubt everything. Where I'm afraid and insecure and convinced you're going to leave. I'm going to need patience and reassurance and... He kissed me quiet. I know. And I'm going to have moments where I'm young and stupid and say the wrong thing. Where I don't understand what you need. Where my work schedule is crazy. Or my boys need me. Or I mess up in 100 different ways. We're both going to need patience. So what do? We try. We communicate. We're honest with each other. He traced the line of my jaw. And we stop letting other people's fears become our own. Katie's going to be upset. Your daughter loves you. She'll come around. And if she doesn't, Sarah, you've spent your whole life taking care of other people. Maybe it's time to take care of yourself. I kissed him then, pouring all my fear and hope and desperate wanting into it. He responded with equal intensity, lifting me slightly as he deepened the kiss. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he said, "So what now?" I looked at this man who had walked through my door to fix my air conditioner, and somehow fixed something in me instead. This man who made me feel seen and desired and alive. "Now," I said, taking his hand and leading him toward the stairs. "We stop talking about what-ifs and start living in what is." His eyes darkened with understanding and desire. "Sarah." "I'm sure, Marcus. For the first time in 7 years, I'm completely sure of something." I stopped at the bottom of the stairs, turned to face him. "I want this. I want you, all of you. And I'm done being afraid." He pulled me close, kissed me with a tenderness that made my heart ache. "Then take me upstairs, beautiful, and let me show you just how sure I am too." Hand in hand, we climbed those stairs together, toward my bedroom, toward uncertainty, toward whatever came next. And for once, I wasn't afraid of the future. I was only afraid of wasting one more moment of the present. My bedroom hadn't seen sunlight in months. I'd kept the curtains drawn, preferring the safety of shadows. But that afternoon, I pulled them open, letting golden light flood across the bed where Richard and I had shared 38 years of marriage. I felt his presence, not haunting but gentle, a whisper of blessing rather than accusation. Marcus stood in the doorway, giving me space, giving me time to be certain. "We can wait," he said softly. "There's no rush." I turned to face him, this beautiful man who had somehow seen past my age to the woman I still was underneath. "I've waited 7 years," I said. "I don't want to wait anymore." He crossed the room slowly, each step deliberate, giving me chances to change my mind. But I didn't want to change my mind. I wanted this, wanted him, with a fierceness that surprised me. When he reached me, his hands went to my face, tilting it up to meet his gaze. "I need you to know something," he said. "This isn't just physical for me. This matters. You matter. I know." And I did. I could see it in his eyes, feel it in the way he touched me. Like I was precious, like I was worth cherishing. He kissed me then, slow and deep, while his hands found the zipper at the back of my dress. I felt it slide down, felt cool air on my skin, and had to fight the urge to cover myself. "Hey," he pulled back, reading my face. "What is it?" "I'm nervous." The admission felt childish. "It's been so long, and my body isn't..." "Your body is perfect." He kissed my forehead, my cheeks, the tip of my nose. Every line, every mark, every soft place, all of it. Perfect. The dress fell to the floor. I stood before him in my sensible bra and underwear. Nothing sexy, nothing designed to seduce, and waited for disappointment to cross his face. Instead, his breath caught. "God, Sarah, you're stunning. You don't have to. I'm not just saying it." His hands skimmed down my arms, across my shoulders, along my waist. "Look at me. Really look." I forced myself to meet his eyes and saw raw desire there. Genuine, unmistakable hunger. "I want you," he said simply. "All of you. Every beautiful inch." When he lifted me onto the bed, I laughed. Actually laughed at the unexpected joy of being treated like I was weightless. He settled beside me, propped on one elbow, just looking at me. "What?" I asked, suddenly self-conscious. "Just memorizing you, in case I wake up and this was all a dream." "If it's a dream, it's mine too." He kissed me again, and this time there was more urgency. His shirt came off God. His body was magnificent. And then his hands were on me, learning every curve and hollow. I gasped when he unhooked my bra, exposing breasts that gravity had long since claimed. But he treated them with reverence, his mouth finding them, his tongue making me arch and moan. Marcus. His name came out as a plea. I've got you. He murmured against my skin. I've got you. My underwear disappeared. So did his remaining clothes. And then it was just skin against skin, warmth against warmth, two bodies learning each other's language. He took his time, so much time, mapping my body with hands and mouth until I was trembling, desperate, begging him not to stop. When he finally settled between my thighs, he paused. You okay? Yes, please, Marcus, please. The first moment of joining, I'd forgotten how intimate it was, how vulnerable, how completely it erased everything except the two people sharing it. I cried out, and he stilled, worried. Don't stop, I gasped. Don't you dare stop. So he didn't. He moved slowly at first, watching my face, adjusting to what made me gasp, what made me clutch at his shoulders. And then faster, deeper, until I forgot to be self-conscious about the sounds I was making, about my age, about anything except the pleasure building inside me. That's it, he whispered against my ear. Let go, beautiful. Let go. And I did. I let go of 7 years of loneliness. Let go of shame and fear and the belief that my body was finished wanting. Let go of everything except this moment, this man, this incredible feeling of being alive and desired and whole. When I shattered, it was with his name on my lips and tears streaming down my face. He followed moments later, his forehead pressed to mine, his body shuddering with release. We lay tangled together afterward, sweaty and breathless and completely undone. He pulled the blanket over us, gathered me against his chest, and pressed kisses to my hair. You okay? He asked quietly. I nodded against him, unable to speak past the emotion choking my throat. Sarah, talk to me. I'm happy, I finally managed. I'm so happy it scares me. His arms tightened around me. Don't be scared. Just be here, with me, right now. So I was. I let myself exist in that moment, in the warmth of his body, the sound of his heartbeat, the gentle stroke of his fingers on my back. I let myself be a woman who was loved, desired, cherished. Outside, the afternoon faded into evening. Inside, we stayed wrapped in each other, talking quietly about everything and nothing. About his dreams for his boys. About places I'd always wanted to travel. About what we'd have for dinner and whether he could stay the night. Will your boys be okay? I asked. They're with my sister this weekend, so yeah. He kissed my shoulder. I can stay, if you want me to. I want you to. Later, we made love again. Slower this time, tender, learning what made each other sigh and moan and laugh. And later still, we raided my kitchen for ice cream and ate it in bed like teenagers, getting crumbs on the sheets and not caring. As I drifted toward sleep in his arms, I thought about Katie's words, about judgment and fear and all the reasons this shouldn't work. But lying there, feeling more alive than I had in years, I realized something. Maybe it wouldn't work forever. Maybe we'd only get months or a year, or however long we got. But right now, in this moment, I was happy. And that was enough, more than enough. It was everything. 3 months later, I'm standing in my bathroom, looking at myself in the mirror. Really looking, for the first time in years without flinching. The gray hair is still gray. The lines around my eyes haven't disappeared. Gravity still has its way with my body. But something fundamental has changed. I no longer see a woman past her expiration date. I see Sarah, just Sarah. and she's beautiful in ways that have nothing to do with age. Marcus is downstairs making breakfast. I can hear him humming. He always hums when he's happy. And the sound fills my house in ways I'd forgotten were possible. His boys are coming over later for dinner. It took 6 weeks of carefully planned meetings, of me being Miss Sarah, my dad's friend, before they started calling me by my first name, without the Miss. Last week, the youngest asked if I could teach him to garden. The oldest wants me to help him with a school project about the library system. They're good boys, polite, curious, full of life. When I look at them, I don't see a reminder of the age gap between Marcus and me. I see his heart reflected in how he's raising them. Katie still struggles. She calls less often, and when she does, there's a careful politeness that hurts more than her initial anger. But my other daughter, Emma, surprised me. She video called last month, took one look at my face, and said, "Mom, you're glowing. If he makes you this happy, then I'm happy for you." I cried for an hour after that call. The world hasn't been kind. There are stares when we're out together. The older woman with the young black man, playing out everyone's assumptions and judgments. I see it in their eyes. Gold digger, cradle robber, fetish, mistake. Last week, a woman at the grocery store actually approached me to say, with concern dripping from her voice, "Honey, men like that are just after one thing. You should be careful." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "You're absolutely right. He's after my happiness, and I'm after his. We're both getting exactly what we want." Marcus laughed about it later, but I saw the hurt underneath. "Does it bother you?" he asked. "What people say?" "It bothers me that they think they have a right to comment on my life," I answered honestly. "But does it change how I feel about you?" "Not even a little." Because here's what I've learned in these 3 months. Desire doesn't have an expiration date. Love doesn't check your birth certificate before knocking on your door. And your body, your beautiful, aging, scarred, imperfect body, knows what it needs far better than society's rules do. My body needed to be touched, to be desired, to remember it was still capable of pleasure and passion, and that sharp, sweet ache of wanting someone. My heart needed to feel seen, to laugh again, to have someone ask about my day and actually care about the answer. My soul needed to remember that life isn't over just because you've passed some arbitrary age milestone. That there are still adventures to be had, feelings to be felt, moments that take your breath away. Marcus gave me all of that. But more importantly, I gave it to myself by being brave enough to reach for it. Do I know what the future holds? No. Marcus and I talk about it sometimes, late at night when we're tangled in each other. About what happens when I'm 70 and he's only 40. About whether this can last. About the practical realities of our different life stages. We don't have all the answers. Maybe we never will. But we have now. We have breakfast on Sunday mornings and his boys doing homework at my kitchen table. We have dinner dates where we still dress up for each other. We have quiet evenings reading side by side. We have passion that hasn't dimmed despite familiarity. We have real, messy, complicated, beautiful love. Yesterday, he asked me to go away with him for a weekend. Just the two of us. Somewhere we can be anonymous, he said. Where no one knows us and we can just be Marcus and Sarah. No judgments, no stares, just us. I said yes without hesitation. This morning as I'm getting dressed, he comes up behind me and wraps his arms around my waist. In the mirror, I see us together. The contrast of his dark skin against my pale. The differences in our bodies. The obvious gap in our ages. I also see the way he looks at me. Like I'm the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. "What are you thinking about?" he asks, resting his chin on my shoulder. About how scared I was that day you came to fix my air conditioner. Scared of what? Of wanting you. Of feeling alive again. Of what it would mean if I let myself have this. I turn in his arms to face him. I thought my life was over, Marcus. I thought I'd used up all my chances at happiness. And now? Now I know that life isn't something that happens to you once and then stops. It keeps happening. Keeps offering you moments and choices and possibilities. You just have to be brave enough to take them. He kisses me softly. You're the bravest person I know. I don't feel brave. I feel terrified half the time. That's what makes it brave, beautiful. Doing it anyway. Later when his boys arrive and we're all sitting around the dinner table. Me and this man I love. And his children, who are learning to accept me. I have a moment of perfect clarity. This is my life. Not the one I planned. Not the one people think I should have. But mine. Chosen. Claimed. Lived. I'm 64 years old. I have gray hair and crow's feet. And a body that's seen decades of living. I'm in love with a man 32 years my junior. People judge. People talk. People think they understand. But they don't know what it's like to feel dead inside. And then suddenly, unexpectedly, catastrophically, alive. They don't know what it's like when your body stops obeying the rules you thought governed your life and starts following its own wisdom instead. They don't know that sometimes the most radical act of self-love is admitting you still have desires, still have needs, still have a right to pursue happiness, no matter what your birth certificate says. I know all of this now. I know it in my bones, in my skin, in the way my heart beats faster when Marcus walks into a room. And I know one more thing, the most important thing. I would rather have 6 months of feeling this alive than 60 years of playing it safe. So, I'm not apologizing, not explaining, not justifying. I'm simply living. And my body, this aging, beautiful, wise body, is finally, gloriously, completely alive.